Hello there. Kenny, also known as Asset Jesus, is a prolific artist in the game dev community, well known for producing high-quality free art assets. Last week, Kenny released KenShape, a tool for quickly producing 3D models out of 2D pixel art. The tool only costs $3.99 and could be an absolute game changer for some people. Now, this is very appealing to someone like me who is relatively familiar with 2D art, but has almost no experience with 3D art and modeling. KenShape could bridge that gap for me and allow me to get involved with making more 3D games. But how does this magical 2D to 3D converting tool actually work? What's good about it and what's bad about it? Let's crack on, subscribe if you're new, and take a deeper look. So to start with, it's important to note that this is the release 1.0.0 version of KenShape. Free updates are planned to keep improving the software, so keep that in mind while you're watching this video. The first thing you'll start to notice when you try and use the tool for the first time is that the workflow is streamlined, fast, and very simple. The basic process for making a model is as follows. You draw your 2D sprite as you normally would in this first stage. This will be ultra familiar to anyone who has experience with pixel art already. The tool also allows you to use these small alternative pixel shapes, which can be great for detailing, and it also lets you import your own color palettes. Next, you assign depth values to each pixel to give it a thickness. I like to unironically call these thixels. This is where the 3D-ness is created. It sort of makes this bi-directional height map of your pixel art, which can be a little tricky to wrap your head around at first, but it only really took me a couple of minutes to start to understand it really well. Then there is this preview stage to see how the 2D sprite and thixels combine into a 3D model. Finally, you can export the model in all manner of different ways. I did a quick test run to see how easily it exports to Blender, and it was really minimal effort. The GIF export function is also really nice for showing off your creations to others on Twitter and Discord. So I've been messing around in the editor for a little bit now, only a couple of minutes, and it really didn't take me long to come up with this 3D axe. I know that doing something like this would have taken me literally hours to do in something like Blender with my current experience level, so this is really impressive to me. The tool also cleverly comes with these sample example projects that have been made by, I assume, Kenny, to sort of show off what the software is capable of. And it really is much more versatile than I would have initially given it credit for, because you can do all sorts of motorbikes, buildings, trees, spaceships, all sorts of things that really show that the skill ceiling for making good assets with this is actually quite high. It's really interesting actually. To make the most of the depth component you can sort of see here, you really have to visualize the lines of symmetry on the object you want to create, because the thickness height map kind of goes in both directions. Like, I never would have thought of making a motorbike like this. I just think it's really impressive. So let's quickly smash through all of the benefits and pros of this program, because I think there are quite a lot. The UI is very clean, it's very neat and nice to look at. You can import your own color palettes and perform palette swaps on any models that you've already drawn, which is an expected feature, but it's still really nice to have. As well as regular pixel placements, there are these really cool little detail shapes that can add extra features and personality to the models you create. Like here, it's been used as sort of a notched dent in a sword. The export function seems pretty comprehensive. There are all sorts of different formats available that seem to cover pretty much all of the mainstream uses this product would have. It also tries to optimize the models, which is nice that there's no hidden vertices or anything like that. It's also incredibly affordable at just $3.99 for how expensive these art editor programs can sometimes be. It's also really easy to adapt and adjust the models afterwards in something like Blender after you've created them in KenShape. And it is just really good at making simple 3D models really quickly. And finally, there seems to be free updates on the way, and Kenny seems to be really responsive to people's feedback and is quite active on Reddit, which is really nice to see. However, the tool isn't perfect yet, and it's still got some work that needs to be done on it. Fortunately, it seems like a lot of these things are already on Kenny's list of stuff to add to the program, and it seems like he's pretty on it with wanting to get the first update out in the next week or so. But I still think it's worth mentioning the pain points of the program to give an overview of the tool in its current first release state. The editing tools are currently quite limited. You can only place pixels and remove them. There are currently no selection, copy and paste, area fill, or draw line tools that you would normally expect to see in an art program like this. There is currently no undo/redo function, which is a bit of a problem, but Kenny has said that this should be addressed in the first update to come out. There is no way to zoom in and out of the UI, but again, Kenny has said that he's going to address this in one of the next updates. There is currently no way to import a 2D sprite. One of the things I'm excited for with this tool is to 3Dify some of my existing 2D sprites I have, which I technically can do at the moment as long as I copy them into the program pixel by pixel. Luckily, it seems like this is very much another feature that is very on their radar to sort out. One other minor gripe I had with the program is that because the UI isn't customizable, the color selection and the color shapes are on opposite sides of the screen. So if I want at any point to pick a color and a shape, then I have to drag my mouse all the way across the screen. It's a minor gripe, but I did notice it while I was using it. There is currently a limit on the canvas size. It currently supports 16x16, 24x24, and 32x32 images. From what I understand, this helps keep the build stable and performant, but from my personal use so far, I haven't really wanted to make anything bigger than 16x16 anyway. But I thought it's worth mentioning in case you wanted to. And yeah, my final somewhat negative thing about the tool at the moment is that it's not really capable of making these crazy 3D voxel creations, but that's not what it's really designed for anyway, so I don't see it as that big of a deal. And to be honest, I think this is kind of completely negated by the fact that it does allow you to export to formats that can then be imported into Blender and Magicka Voxel anyway. So it is worth bearing in mind that it isn't as crazy complicated as those other programs, but it isn't designed to be, and it does flow into them really nicely. So, is KenShape worth it? Should you bother buying it? Well, I personally really like this tool. Admittedly, it is quite a niche tool and it could still do with a fair few quality of life improvements. But with a lot of those improvements coming in the next couple of updates, and if it appeals to your niche, then it is absolutely ideal. Even in its current state, it is letting me make 3D models that would have taken me months of practice and hours to make in Blender with my current skill level. And not only is it much faster for someone like me, it may also help me start to understand and smooth out the learning curve for learning those more complicated programs. Currently, I have virtually no knowledge of 3D modeling in Blender, but maybe in the future I'll want to quickly adjust a KenShape model that I quickly mocked up, or I'll want to combine multiple KenShape models together. It might sort of encourage me to take the steps to start getting more involved with a whole new 3D skill set. Its price is just phenomenal too. Kenny has offered so many free and high quality assets to the game dev community. Picking this up for just $4 was an absolute no-brainer for me. We should absolutely support other people in our community, especially when they're making amazing stuff like this. I think that this could also be a really cool way of standing out with your next game as well. Using this sort of a workflow for an art direction hasn't really been done before. I know that there are other voxel games, but there's been no voxel games that have been made using this really simple, effective, fast workflow. So in the tool's current state, I would give it a strong 7 to a light 8 out of 10. However, with the quality of life improvements that are on the way, I can easily see this being bumped up to a 9 or a 10. So yeah, really great work from Kenny and anyone else who is involved in making or testing this tool. Subscribe if you're new and like for more game dev content like this. I'm here every week and those metrics really help me stand out in the YouTube algorithm. Follow me on Twitter for some updates on my current game project, Project Drifter. I'm really moving a lot of it behind the scenes, so I'm excited to show that off in a couple of weeks' time. Join the Discord to get feedback from and talk to other developers, and until next time, goodbye.
String of words that I think I've used before. Can't think of another creative way to twist it.